I was sheriff of this county when I was 25 years old. Hard to believe. Grandfather was a lawman. Father, too.
No Country for Old Men is one of my favorite films of all time. Very few films have attained the level of intentionality and precision that this film did. When I was first trying to write the script for this video, I tried to break down the components of the film and talk about each one separately. The writing, directing, acting, cinematography, sound design, and editing. But as I tried to separate each part, I realized that each aspect was so heavily intertwined with the other parts of the film that I could only analyze this film by talking about all aspects at the same time. I want to start by looking at the script. The final film follows the 122-page script very closely, with some small deviations. The opening monologue, given by Sheriff Bell, foreshadows the events of this story. It gives us an idea of what this film was about, and also begins to tell us about the three main characters.
But I don't want to push my chips forward and go out and meet something I don't understand.
This line tells us about Sheriff Bell, a man who upholds the law, yet knows that there is evil that he doesn't have the power to fight. This line also informs us about Anton Chigurh. He is the evil that Sheriff Bell doesn't comprehend.
A man would have to put his soul at hazard.
This line informs us about Llewellyn Moss, the other man at the center of the chaos that is about to take place. This opening monologue foreshadows the clash between these three men. The film introduces us to Chigurh in the best way possible, a murder. This scene occurs right after the sheriff's monologue. We get a wide-angle medium shot of the deputy with Chigurh sitting out of focus on the right. The camera slowly pushes in. Chigurh stands and brings his arms to the front of his body, but remains out of focus, heightening our fear of this man. The angle changes as the officer is yanked to his feet, but we still don't see the face of Chigurh. The men hit the ground. We cut to look at the deputy. Chigurh's face remains out of view. Our focus is on the deputy's struggle to survive. Listen to the train running by the station, heightening the distress of the deputy. We finally cut to an angle where we see the face of Chigurh as he is mid-kill. Notice the acting by Javier Bardem. The expression on Chigurh's face is one of madness, even enjoyment. This shot looks down on the action. It slowly pushes forward on Chigurh's face and rotates as the scene's focus changes from the deputy to Chigurh. The shot ends with a close-up of Chigurh's face. I love this shot as he washes the blood off of his wrists. Bloodied wrists are usually associated with death or suicide, and Chigurh is death walking. Then we cut back to the still legs of the deputy. The scrapes on the floor record the struggle. The camera moves to show us Chigurh's signature weapon, the air tank. This scene is a great way to introduce this character. It shows us the collaboration between Roger Deakins' cinematography, the direction and editing from the Coens, and the performance by Javier Bardem. The next scene helps set up how Chigurh uses the air gun. There is a great note on acting in this scene. In the screenplay, Chigurh's line is, "I need you to step out of the car, sir." It's a simple line, but watch how Bardem delivers it.
"I need you to step out of the car, sir."
It's chilling. That odd smile shows us that he enjoys the power he holds over people. We are then introduced to the character on the other side of this conflict, Llewellyn Moss. What's interesting about his character is that we learn the most about him in the moments where he's quietly thinking. We can see his mind constantly working, and this is confirmed to us in the moments where he talks to himself.
What if you stop? You stopped in shade.
When Moss gets back home, we meet his wife, Carla Jean. This scene is where we get a taste of that witty humor inherent in Coen Brothers dialogue.
Fine. I don't want to know. I don't even want to know where you've been all day.
That'll work.
Another important scene comes soon after Moss has acquired the money and is on the run from the cartel. Chigurh stops at a gas station. It's here we learn more about his personal rules and view of the world. The wide angle helps to give us a look at the environment in which the proprietor lives. Chigurh walks into frame from the left, a disruption of the environment.
Y'all getting any rain up your way?
After the proprietor asks Chigurh a question, we get a close over-the-shoulder shot of both men in frame. This question has made Chigurh notice the proprietor. The shot almost gives us a sense that if he didn't ask this question, maybe nothing would have happened. Chigurh's eyes lock onto the man. The reverse shot shows that the proprietor now understands that he is in some sort of odd situation. Watch how Sugar delivers this line.
What business is it of yours? Where I'm from? Friendo?
The shots continue in a shot-reverse shot pattern. As we go further into the scene, the uncomfortable feeling strengthens. We move into over-the-shoulder shots until Sugar asks how the man came to run this store. When the man answers, watch how Sugar reacts.
This is my wife's father's place originally.
You married into it.
Sugar's disdain for the answer shows us more about his rules and beliefs. There's a moment where the shots break from their pattern. Sugar crumples up the wrapper and places it on the table. Listen as it unkinks. Not only does this add tension, it also brings the audience's attention to the counter to prepare for the next part of the scene, the coin toss.
Call it.
The over-the-shoulder looking at the proprietor begins to push in as the chances of his death rise. As we reverse, the shot of Sugar pushes in as well. Suspense rises. Then he calls it.
All right. Heads then.
He's right.
Well done.
Tension is diffused. This scene gives us a larger understanding of Sugar and the rules he subscribes to. We finally meet Sheriff Bell 28 minutes into the film. This adds to his characterization. He is a man who is constantly behind in the conflict that is taking place. When Sheriff Bell and his deputy go and see the drug deal gone bad, we are treated to more great Coen Brothers dialogue.
Well, this is just a deal gone wrong, isn't it?
Yeah. Appears to have been a glitch or two.
What's most important about this scene is the last line.
Well, it's a mess, ain't it, Sheriff?
If it ain't, it'll do till the mess gets here.
The shot that follows is Sugar's shadow on the entrance of Moss's trailer, followed by the air tank. The script mirrors this. Air tank, in all caps, is the first thing the script says after this line, showing the connection between the sheriff's words and Sugar. Moss's trailer becomes the vehicle for the film's symbolism. Sugar searches the house, then eventually settles down on the couch drinking milk. Notice how this shot directly correlates with a shot of Moss and Carla Jean. Sugar is trying to understand them and predict their next move. The next shot is Sugar's silhouette on the gray television. When Sheriff Bell comes to the trailer, he's looking for Sugar. Bell is frustrated by how close he was to catching Sugar. He takes a seat on the couch, but the angle is different. Then we cut to a shot of the sheriff silhouetted in the gray television. Sugar follows Moss, trying to get into his head, and Sheriff Bell follows Sugar, trying to do the same. 53 minutes into the film, a new character enters to tell us more about Sugar, Carson Wells. Wells is the only character in the film that has a history with Sugar. He's the only one that has any idea of what Sugar is like. But we realize that even Wells doesn't really know the man in black. All Wells shows us is that Sugar remains in control.
You don't have to do this. I'm a day trader. I could just go home.
Wells offers Sugar money.
To an ATM, there's 14 grand in it.
Notice Bardem's acting here as he replies.
An ATM.
The delivery shows us his complete indifference to money. What Sugar does desire is to make people question why they do what they do.
If the rule you followed, Brudget is, of what use was the rule?
This kill cuts off the last possibility of our understanding who Sugar is and where he came from. When Moss dies, the sheriff finds him first, and as always, he is too late. You can hear the despair in his voice with the delivery of this line.
Local law enforcement. I'm not on the radio.
One of the most interesting and confusing scenes in the film occurs soon after Moss's death, when Sheriff Bell returns to the crime scene. As Bell moved towards the door, we can see the sign of Sugar's presence, the blown-out lock. We get a close-up of it. All we see is blackness and the circular reflection. We can hear the high-pitched rush of air coming out of the hole. Notice the fear on Sheriff Bell's face. This is what he has tried to avoid for the entire film, meeting something he doesn't understand. We cut inside and see Sugar shrouded in darkness with only a small portion of his face lit. We cut back and forth between the two men, a moment of impending doom. We get a close-up of the blown-out lock from Sugar's perspective. We can just make out the reflection of Sheriff Bell. Bell pushes the door open, and we get a wide shot from within the hotel room. But Sugar is gone. He stood behind the door until this moment, and now he's missing. Tension stays high as the sheriff steps inside. The camera pans across the room. Notice how Bell's shadow is fragmented by multiple lights and the mirror on the right side, giving the room an eerie feeling. Bell searches the room and finds the bathroom window locked. Sugar didn't leave that way. Bell sits on the bed and notices the open vent where the money was being stored. There's a dime on the floor. It's landed on heads. Then the scene ends. Where did Sugar go? How did he escape? I honestly don't know. There are a few different theories. I do think it's important to note that Bell sees Sugar as more of a ghost than a man, as we hear in the preceding
I'm
scene.
not sure he's a lunatic.
Yeah, well, what would you call him?
Yeah, sometimes I think he's pretty much a ghost.
I think he may be onto something. The film presented us with this character and constantly made us wonder who he was. Was he just a psychopathic killer? Was he just a man with a particular set of odd principles? Or was he something bigger? Was he a force of nature, a ghost of reckoning? I'm not sure, but I would love to discuss this in the comment section below. The film concludes with Sheriff Bell. He made his decision. He is retired. He's chosen not to be a part of that world. He now has safety, mediocrity. A man who compared himself to those who had come before and didn't measure up. A man who saw all the darkness, all the cold. A man who saw the torches held by those who went before him. A man who had the opportunity to do what they did.
Then I woke up.